Today is a great day. Why is today a great day? Well, something came in the mail that I'm extremely excited to show you. I have been shooting the same type of arrows for the last 5 years. And not to say that they haven't been fantastic, they absolutely have. I've been shooting Easton Axis 5mm for the last 5 years with zero complaints. I wanted to try something new this year. I'm going back and forth about changing my arrow weight, going a bit lighter. I normally shoot a 600 grain arrow. Today we're going to build 545 grain arrows. And we're going to do that with the brand new Easton Sonic 6.0s. The Easton Sonic 6.0 high velocity is a 6mm shaft. So it's slightly larger than the 5mm ones that I've been shooting with the Axis. They are lighter. The Axis I was shooting was 10.7 grains per inch. This is the 250 spine, which is the heaviest shaft for the Easton Sonic 6.0s, and it comes in at 9.5 grains per inch. I'm a 30-inch draw because I shoot a drop away rest. My rest sits behind the riser. Because of that, I can cut these arrows down to 28 inches and still have enough hand clearance without having any issues. Sonic 6.0s come standard. Tolerance is 0.003. There is a 0.001 straightness for the match grades. The match grades were not offered where I was ordering from, just the regular Sonic high velocities. I have shot both 0.003 and 0.001 straightness, and I'll tell you right now, for archers and bow hunters like us, you're really not going to notice that big of a difference downrange. Usually that means you get a dozen like this. You might have 2 or 3 that fly slightly different than the others due to their straightness, but to be completely honest with you, I don't think we're really going to have that issue or be shooting well enough to notice that issue. I'm going to put a 4-inch boning wrap on them. I'm going to put 3 AAE Max Stealth vanes on here. We're going to put in the 6mm brass inserts. There's the 6mm inserts. This is a brass insert. It's a break off brass, 75 grains. You can break it off to 50. I will be throwing in all 75 grains. Top it all off. We're going to put a Nocturnal lighted nock universal fit nock on the end. These nocks are pretty cool because they come with 3 different types of spacers that will go in depending on your arrow inside diameter. Shout out to Canada Archery Online. I ordered these arrows through them. The brass inserts were on a back order. They got me them very quickly. I was very happy with their service. I also ordered the Max Bond glue and the arrow wraps from Archer's Nook, which is a store in London, Ontario. Love ordering from those guys. They have a wicked website. They ship your order the day you order it. As long as it's early enough, you ship it in the morning, it'll be in the mail by the afternoon. They're fantastic. For this, we're going to need a scale for the end to check our weight. We'll need an arrow spinner, and I'm going to use to spin the arrows once they're done. Mouse pad is key for keeping your area clean, and it's really good for rolling your wraps. It's always good to roll your wraps on a mouse pad. I use the Bitzenberger arrow jig, tried and true. This is never going to let you down. Yes, there are some that are plastic that work faster that you can do all 3 at the same time. Me personally, I enjoy this process. I want it to last as long as it can. I like making sure that every single vane is seated properly and placed properly. Therefore, I use the Bitzenberger arrow jig. I also have a right clamp, which gives an about 2.5 degree offset for my fletchings off to the right because the arrows come off my bow to the right. AAE Max Weld primer pen. This is to prime the fletchings before you put them onto your arrows. AAE Max Stealth vanes. So to prep your arrows before you start, what you want to do is you want to make sure. Now these have been cut for me from the store. They've already pre-cut these, so they are cut to 28 inches. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a Q-tip, and you want to clean the inside of your arrow shaft to make sure that any of the carbon, because there will be carbon debris on the inside, you clean that out. And then you're going to want to wipe it down, get rid of any oils in your hands. So you see I'm touching this, I'm getting oils back here. You want to make sure it's a nice and clean surface when you're rolling on your wrap and when you're putting in your insert and then putting the fletchings on. Sip of coffee while you're doing this because this is fun. Okay, so the main idea here is just to clean the shafts. Some people use alcohol, some people use water. It's just, you just want to get a wet Q-tip in there and clean out any of the debris that could be at the end. As you can see, go through a couple times, make sure you get it all out. We've cleaned the carbon out of these now. Now we're going to throw on the wraps. Again, we're just going to take a wipe. It's just a disinfectant wipe. We're going to wipe down the end. We've got our boning wraps. What I do is I put the label flat facing the knock. Line up your knock with your wrap and start to roll it. You get it to come around. Use your finger and just make sure that that end is down and sealed, and then continue to finish off rolling. Now that all of our shafts have wraps on them, we're going to put fletchings on. To do that, you need your Bitsenberger jig. I am using 3 fletchings. Some people use 4. I like the 3, the standard classic look of the 3 fletchings. I find that they steer my arrow just fine, and I don't like having the extra weight on the back or the parachuting effect that you can sometimes get with 4 fletch. Not all the time, but sometimes. So I use 3. The first step that I do for this is I have to use the primer pen, and you have to prime the end of these. So I'll put 2 inside the end of my jig. Put 2 inside the end of my jig just to get the primer pen going. That's empty. Take the end of the primer pen, just dab it on some paper towel. Make sure there's some in the end, and just rub the primer pen down the groove of your fletching. Set 2 aside, and then I do the last one with the primer pen. Get that nice and primed for the glue. That'll help it stick when you go to attach it. Then you're going to take your shaft, try to have one of the fletchings line up with the logo. Just helps me when I'm pulling out of my quiver. I don't have to think. I just have it point straight up and I know where I'm going. You can either mark the clamp with a Sharpie or something where you normally put it. I didn't do that in case I want to change it down the road. But what I basically do is I line up. I know how far away. I basically want my fletching to sit, the back of the fletching to sit just in front of the boning logo of my wrap. And that is about 2 of the large hash marks. And you can check it. Just put it on and check. Sure enough, yep, that looks good to go. Every single one that you're going to do now has to be done at the same spot. To remember where you're putting it. Take your Max Bond glue. Make sure you've got some glue inside. I do. Run your glue down the inside of the fletching. Not too much. Line it up. Get the magnets on there. Push it down. Just make sure that the top of the fletching and the back of the fletching are touching the shaft, and let it sit. Then comes the argument, well, how long do you let it sit for? Some people wait a few minutes, some people wait a few seconds. I usually don't wait that long. I just get it set, line it up, lock it in there, Take the clamp off, move it to the next one. Line the next one up, second large hash mark, glue down the inside. Line up and lightly push down, making sure that the top and the bottom of the fletching are touching the wrap. I don't wait super long. Like I said, this stuff's pretty fast drying, and once I have them all on like this and I take them off, there you go. You got a perfectly fletched arrow with a 2.5 degree, 2 to 2.5 degree offset. You're gonna put a dab of glue here at the front and a dab of glue at the back, and that just gives you added strength so that they won't come off or get ripped off or anything like that. Flip it around, the back side, the tail side. Not too much, just a little bit, just a little bump there to make sure that the back end of the fletchings is down. Then you leave it alone. Let it sit and dry. Like I said, this stuff's pretty fast drying, so I'm not too concerned about that. And we go on to the next one. Next thing is we're going to install the inserts. Don't need the jig anymore. Keep your mouse pad out. Now what I do is I use this HIT epoxy from Easton. And what you do is you squeeze, you cut a triangle and you squeeze both sides of the epoxy and mix them together, and they make like a kind of a beigey yellowy mixture, and then you can glue your inserts in. The most important thing to do here is to make sure that you remove your nocks. If you don't remove the knock and you're pushing something in the other end, you're going to create a vacuum, which means the air that gets trapped may have the tendency to push back and pop your insert out of place, and then it'll set and you'll be in some rough shape. So you don't want to have that happen, so we remove the nocks. Now the nocks that come installed from the factory are fairly snug, so you're going to need a pair of pliers generally to get them out. Just like that. Just do that for all 12 arrows. Okay, so now that all the nocks are removed, we're going to score the inside of the shaft and make sure that it's square. Again, we're going to use the squaring tool here, and to do that, just take an arrow, go back and forth a few times, check it with a Q-tip, make sure there's nothing in there, and then we're going to take this scoring tool from Ironwill and just put it inside the shaft. Okay, we're on to the next step. We put on the wrap, we fletch the arrow, we've removed the nocks, we've squared the end, we've cleaned the end, we've scored the inside. Now we're going to install the inserts. And to do that, we have to mix the epoxy. So again, I take the plastic wrapper that the epoxy actually came in, and you can see the triangle on the epoxy down here that they want you to cut. Put them together, mixing the two packages together onto the plastic. One is clear and one is like a yellow color. And you're just going to get it all out, and then you're going to take your Q-tip, you're going to mix, and you're going to keep mixing. So it starts off looking like this, and you're going to keep mixing them together until it becomes like a milky, hazy color. It'll look like that. And all you're going to do is you're going to take your insert, you're going to roll it in to the epoxy, and then you're just going to stick it in the end and keep twisting. And twist, and twist, and twist, and twist, and you'll get it bubbling at the end there like that. That's fine. And you keep going till it's in. And then you just roll off the excess epoxy. Your 75 grain brass insert is in and it's flush to the end of the arrow. Awesome. And then you repeat that 12 times. Alright, that's it. That's all for now. We're just going to wait, let these arrows sit for 24 hours before we do anything else. The next stage will be installing our nocks using the Nocturnal universal fit. These nocks come with 3 different size spacers that will go in to the end of your arrow to fit the knock. So this is the X knock, comes 3 X knocks come in a pack. The X knock's diameter is 0.204 inside diameter of the arrow. These will fit a 5mm arrow like an Axis which has a 204 inside diameter perfectly. You will not need these 3 type of inserts. For the 6mm arrows, we're going to be using the H knock, which is the 0.233 inside diameter, the white ones up here. Those will go in with these for a snug fit so that they will fit properly. If you have other size arrows, it also comes with the S, which is 0.244, and the GT, which is 0.246 inside diameter. So those are really cool. So we're going to do that tomorrow. We're going to put on our 150 grain points, which will be the Ironwill field points. 150 grain points going on the end, and once the arrow is constructed and finished, we're going to shoot it through paper, make sure we have a perfect bullet hole. We're going to weigh it. Should be around the 545 range. At the end of the day, I just want it to shoot straight, fly well, hit hard, and do as much damage as possible. So I think these will be a good fit for hunting season, and I'm really looking forward to shooting it through paper, shooting it on the target, and see how they perform compared to the Axis that I'm used to. All right, the 24 hours is over. The epoxy has cured for the inserts. We've added a Ironwill field point at 150 grains, and I've also added the Nocturnal lighted knock, which is around 23 to 25 grains. I think they were more like 23, 24 grains. These have an insert, the H knock insert, to allow these to fit the 6mm shaft. The universal fit Nocturnal lighted nocks come with 3 different spacers in them that will fit 3 different types of arrows. It actually fits 4 because the actual knock itself is the 204 inside diameter for the 5mm arrows, and then they also come with the spacers to fill in for the other sizes. So we've got the 3 Max Stealth vanes, the boning wrap 4-inch boning wrap, the 75 grain brass insert, 150 grain point. That's bringing us to 548 grains total weight for the arrow. I threw it in some calculators and found out that it's about 17% FOC, front of center. So there's a majority of weight up front, which is going to hammer when it hits its target. Also, putting it into a speed calculator, 548 grain arrow coming out of a 345 foot per second bow at a 30-inch draw, 70 pounds, is going to give me 90 foot-pounds of kinetic energy. So the calculator tells me it's going to travel at approximately 273 feet per second. It's going to be 2.94 for the momentum and about 90 foot-pounds of kinetic energy. That's really going to hammer when it comes to hunting purposes, which I'm excited for. Another thing to mention is that the Easton Sonic 6.0s are made of AccuCarbon, which has been developed by Easton and manufactured in the USA. They're no longer making these overseas. They're making them in-house now with their AccuCarbon. So go head on over to eastonarchery.com and find out just what that's all about. So we're going to now shoot it through paper, make sure we have a bullet hole. Then we're going to head outside and shoot it at 40 and 60 yards and see how well they fly into my Bulldog Targets. Another thing to mention is that all of these arrows, they're all within 0.6 to 0.8 of a grain of each other, which is pretty incredible when you're trying to match weight for your hunting arrows. So here we go, paper tuning, first arrow, see how we do here. Arrow number one. Kind of liking the thickness. It's only a millimeter difference from the 5mm axis, but it feels like it's got some nice girth to it. Slightly bigger arrow, slightly bigger hole. First hole here. Second hole there, third hole there. I'd say that's pretty good. Everybody remembers Hennifer. She always likes to hang out. Okay, so we're out here at 40. I got two Bulldog Targets set up, one at 40, one at 60 yards. See how well we do. I'm gonna have to tweak my sight here because my bow is set for the 605 grain arrows that I was shooting. So we'll have to make some adjustments. We'll see where we sit with the 548 grain arrows at 40 yards. Never be afraid to let down. Doesn't feel right, doesn't feel right. No one enjoys letting down. Get into the moment like I should have gone off by now. Why hasn't it gone off? Maybe I should let down and I'll just shoot, just hold out. Now you're moving too much, moving more than you should, and then bam, now your shot's not where you want it to go. Never be afraid to let down. So here's 40 yards with the Easton Sonic 6.0s. My sight isn't perfectly sighted in for these arrows just yet, as I literally just made them a couple of days ago. So here's 40 yards. Yards, a little bit of tweaking, but I'd say they're shooting just fine. Let's go back to 60. 60 yards with the Easton Sonic 6.0s. here we go. Here's 60 yards with the Easton Sonic 6.0s. Again, some tweaking in my sight still. I'm still sighted in from my other arrows, but that's pretty good. For 60 yards, we'll take that. Well, what do you think? I think these things are pretty cool. Don't get me wrong, I love my 5mm axis, but I think these 6mm Easton Sonic 6.0s are going to be my go-to arrow for the foreseeable future. We built them, we fletched them, we spun them, we shot them, we learned about them, we looked at them up close. Easton Sonic 6.0s, A++. Can't wait to take these out with me into the field hunting in the fall. These will be coming with me to BC on my September elk hunt, and hopefully I'll have some success to show you with these new arrows. For more information on Easton and all of the arrows they make, including the Sonic 6.0s, head on over to eastonarchery.com and check out all of the arrow shafts that they have to offer, as well as components. If you like this video, hit like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell for more videos like this, and we'll see you on the next one.